Guys, we've got such a treat for you right now. So, like I said at the start, we are super lucky to have Scott Robertson with us, who's a site pastor at Aberdeen North. The guy's an absolute legend. If you don't know him, he's a brilliant pastor, preacher, communicator. As well as that, he's just a lovely guy. Honestly, like one of the nicest people I know, and he just has such wisdom on like a whole bunch of stuff. And so we would really encourage you guys in the live chat, just be firing out some questions to Scott. Like, what's some stuff you would love to pick his brains about, particularly in this time that we're all in? So that's me giving enough of an intro. He's here. Let's give a massive cheer to Scott Robertson. Yay! Woo! Hey, Scott, you are muted.
Welcome. Oh, he's muted already.
I'm unmuted. Classic live stream error there. The old coming with your mate still on.
Just don't go to the toilet, Scott. Just
what was that? Sorry, I need the toilet. I'll be back in a minute.
Oh, mate, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Appreciate you're a busy man. Love to have you here. Well, let's just jump in just with like how are you doing? How are you at the minute? What's going on?
You actually got me out of putting the kids to bed tonight, so I am very glad to be here.
Oh, pass it.
No, I'm good. We are doing well. We are locked down. So if you don't know, I am Scott. I've got a wife, Sarah, and we've got two little kids, Evelyn, who's 4, and Caleb, who's 1. So we are locked down, 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, which is mostly great fun and occasionally absolute carnage. So there's been lots of fun moments of, for instance, today Caleb decided to tear up half the plants in our garden for a good fun game. It was good. And stuff like that. But no, on the most part, we're doing well, surviving the lockdown, and doing good, yeah.
Awesome. And I heard you saying as well that Evers was trying to measure her height on the wall using felt tip pen as well.
Yeah, we left her alone for 5 minutes then, and when we came in, she'd marked her height on our living room wall with a felt tip pen because she'd seen it in an episode of Bing.
To be fair, that is a lockdown lark.
It's a lockdown lark.
It is. It really is.
If you guys are looking for lockdown larks, I can send you a list on a weekly basis. Robertson family lockdown larks.
Love it. Amazing. Well, mate, we'd love just to hear like a brief kind of bit of your testimony. Why are you doing what you're doing right now? Why are you following Jesus? How did that journey happen for you?
Yeah, I'll try and give you the flying snapshot of it. So I grew up in church with my mum and dad, went to Sunday school, all of that stuff. And I got to the age of about 15 and just kind of decided for myself, like, I don't actually think this is for me. Like the church that I was part of was quite a traditional church, and it was I just found it difficult to read the pages of the Bible and match it up to what I was seeing. And so I just decided to do my own thing for a few years. Like I finished school, went off to university, like did all the things that the world told me was good, going out and drinking and partying and all that stuff. And throughout that whole time where I was away from church, I have a mate called James. He's one of my best mates. And almost every couple of weeks without fail, he'd be like, "Do you want to come to church this week?" And I'd be like, no, mate, you need to stop asking me about this church thing. Like, you really need to give it a rest now. But he was relentless. Like, he just kept inviting me. Like, anytime his youth group did a quiz night, he was like, "Do you want to come to a quiz night in my youth group?" And I was like, "No, I don't want to come to a quiz night at your youth group." And at the end of first year of uni, I kind of hit like a low point where I was like, I don't like, if this is what life's all about, like nothing in this is like filling me with hope for the next like 60, 70 years. Like, I don't want to do this. And again, my mate James swooped in and he was like, "Oh, if that's how you're feeling, you should definitely come along to church." Like, and so I went with him. I basically made a deal with him. I was like, "Oh, like if I just come along, like, will you stop asking me about it?" And so we came along to church, and just something about that first week, I went to his church and I saw people doing the stuff that the Bible talked about. They were feeding people from a food bank, and their church was like kind of closely linked with a rehab centre for alcoholics. So there was a whole bunch of guys from the rehab centre who were there every Sunday, and just everyone was lovely to them, and like there was just real banter and community in the room. And so I was intrigued, and so I stuck around for a few weeks. and then we were doing this like SU camp that they'd asked me to come and help at. And I remember this one evening just standing at the back, and I was like, God, if you're real, like you're going to have to show me. Like I think this thing might be a thing, but you're going to have to show me. And I just experienced God's power in a way that I can't really describe, other than it was so heavy on me. Like I didn't go flying across the room or anything like that, but it was just so heavy that I couldn't stand up. I had to sit down. I just melted into a big pile of tears. Felt like Jesus just showed me how much he loved me, like why he died for me. And from that moment onwards, I've been following Jesus. And part of why I'm in Aberdeen, pastor in a church, I had a bunch of prophetic words not long after I became a Christian about becoming a leader and leading people to Jesus and pastoring people. And so when the opportunity came to do that up here in Aberdeen, like that felt like a really natural thing for me to do. And for Sarah and I, we always wanted to lead people to Jesus. We wanted to live in a tougher community. So we live in Tillydrone. We love that. That was part of our call that we felt God asking us to come and be part of this community and be around that. And it's been such a fun journey. God's been extraordinarily kind. We had, when I first moved here, like one of my work colleagues started coming along to church and gave his life to Jesus. He's been around our site for the last 7 years. Our next door neighbour, we started playing football together. And every week I kind of took a leaf out my mate James's playbook. And every week after football, I'd ask him and his brother, I'd be like, guys, do you want to come to church this Sunday? And they'd laugh about it and nudge each other in the back of the car. But one week he kind of hung behind. He was like, can I come to church with you this Sunday? So he's been coming along and hanging out. And so just God's been really kind. We've seen some real fun things happen, and we love what we do.
So good, mate. I'm just hearing a bunch of stuff there, like how, you know, people around you guys, around you and Sarah, just like in time, just getting connected with church. From the sounds of things, in like quite a natural way. It doesn't sound like you guys were like, okay, right, we're going to go out now and we're going to talk about Jesus, and you know, in this really like intense kind of fashion. But like from what I'm hearing, it sounds like it's quite a natural thing for you guys. Like, what would you say to like anyone who maybe doesn't feel that's like a natural thing for them? Maybe they feel like they want to talk to their mates about Jesus, but it feels like that's quite a difficult thing to do, or maybe they've never done that before. Do you have any like wee tips, or what would you say?
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that I've learned most over time, like, you know, I've been in a few like debates with people and debated like science versus religion and stuff like that, but I've yet to debate somebody into a relationship with Jesus. Like, it just, for me, that hasn't happened that way. For me, like what that's mostly looked like is just me living my life with Jesus and not being shy about showing people what that looks like. So that looks like me being real with people. So I share my highs and I share my lows. When God does something in my life, like I want to tell people about that. And so I just share when something's going on. And that's kind of made space and invited people into that. And I find that when you're open and honest with folk around you, like that's the invitation in itself. You don't have to make a big sort of play or convince people. Like eventually, for the people around us, actually, if we're living it out in a real way, then it becomes a moment. There always comes a moment in someone's life where they're like, okay, tell me why you pray this thing, or I've got this thing going on and I know you pray, but I don't believe that, but would you pray for us? And so we've seen that. Like there's a couple who we got to know at a wedding we were at. We didn't really know them before that, but we got chatting to them. They'd had a really tough time trying to have a baby, basically. We just got chatting to them, and eventually they came round for dinner. We hung out a few times, and then they were like, hey, we don't know what this prayer thing is, but would you pray for us? And so they invited us into that. Like, it wasn't like we were like, oh, we'll do that. They were like, would you pray? And so we prayed for them. And God, again, was just extraordinarily kind. Like, a couple of weeks later, they got pregnant, and then they were told that they'd never be able to have a baby, and that they should probably, that it wouldn't work. And all the way through, they were telling them this probably won't be a good pregnancy. And at the end of it, they had a perfectly healthy little baby boy. He's 1.5 now, and they've just absolutely loving life. And so it's just opportunities. Hey, when you're real, God just gives you those wee opportunities, and you get to step in and watch Him do something incredible out of your like very weak hands.
So good. Love that, mate. I think, I mean, hanging around you and Sarah a bit, I just feel like you guys are such like open people, and there is just a real sense that like your love for Jesus and what He's done in your life, like none of that stuff is like kind of hidden, or you're not selective about who you would like. It just feels like that's kind of out in the open, and I love it. I think God's using that, so that's awesome. Again, guys, if you've got any questions, jump into the live chat. We're gonna do something a little bit different right now. I've not told Scott about this. I've not prepped him for this. But maybe Ben Clift, could you explain to Scott what kitchen time is if he doesn't already know? And I'm gonna come back in just a second.
Oh, where's he gone? All right, Scott. Well, basically, kitchen time is everyone's favorite segment of our Youth Online talks.
The mug makes much more sense now. I didn't understand it.
Yeah. Mug without context is just weird.
Like, why is everyone so buzzing about a kitchen time?
I don't understand. Young people
People are willing to pay £30 for this one.
So at some point during the Youth Online talk, we pause.
Yeah.
Or we transition to the kitchen, right?
Okay.
And then we pick a kitchen utensil. So far we've had, if I remember, the sieve, the Christmas cup, and the kettle.
Nice.
And the washing up bowl.
Well
I nearly
done, Ben.
forgot the washing up bowl.
Good
But
remembering.
that's what we've had. And there's a reason why those things are significant, obviously. It's not just a fun utensil. And that's kitchen time. And it's most people's highlight of their weeks, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah. So beautiful. So we're taking an object from the kitchen and we're using it like as an illustration, basically. Like, how can we explain? So we might be talking about a topic one week, and then we'll be like, hey, the sieve, that really helps me explain this illustration. So
Great.
what I've got some items from the kitchen, and mate, you're an excellent speaker, brilliant communicator. I want to put you on the spot a little bit. So I'm going to show you 3 items from the kitchen.
Dave, let me pause you right there.
Oh.
Can you please just do a real quick live theme tune?
Please.
Oh, rendition.
everyone's dying for
Yes.
Oh, I can't. Okay, so I can't play it, but I can.
Just sing it.
Sing it.
Everyone, we need
Let
it.
it loose,
Can I
man.
get a beat? Can I get a bum 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 bum? Right, imagine that's repeating.
Bum, 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 bum.
Kitchen time. Kitchen time. Get ready, everybody. It's kitchen time.
Yes. Wow.
Kitchen
That
time
was good.
live.
That was quite something.
We've been transported. So
Amazing.
here we are. It's kitchen time. These are your items, Scott. You can pick one of them, and I want an illustration of some sort. It might be, you identify with this object, and you can see your life in it. It might be that this object explains a characteristic of Jesus. I don't know. Could be anything.
Amazing.
So we've got the toaster, pretty good, pretty strong, heavy hitter, and everyone else on the live chat, you can get involved with this as well if you've got any ideas. We've got Cook's matches
Ooh,
Nice.
that's a strong one.
Bit of
That's a
danger
strong
there.
one.
Yes.
and the old coffee pot. Okay.
Oh, I'm a fan of that one.
So we can give Scott a little bit of time to think if any of our other hosts have any thoughts of which one of these could be an illustration.
I am good to go. I didn't even
Are you
need to see
good?
the other. I didn't.
Oh, wow.
That's why
That's-
I'm you the big
He's too good. He's too good.
As
Which
soon as you
item?
showed me the toaster, I was like, don't
Oh.
even show me anymore, Dave. I'm good. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. Scott,
So-
explain.
Bread when it comes out. Bread's okay. Bread's good. It's like it was good on its own. You put bread in a toaster though. You set a bit of fire around it, give it a bit of heat. When it comes flying out the toaster,
Come on.
it is much better than it was when it went in. It is much tastier. We can all agree that toast is better than bread on its own.
Yes.
In the same way, sometimes as Christians, we are good, we're okay. And sometimes we go through some challenges. Sometimes we go through some tough stuff. Sometimes God allows us to be in the fire a little bit. But the refining thing that happens in that fire is that the stuff that was okay before gets refined into good stuff. And so when we pop out the other side of the fire, outside the other side of the challenge, we end up out so much better than we were before we went in.
So good. So good.
Oh, wow. Absolutely smashed it. Never in doubt.
So glad I was looking up toaster analogies just earlier on today. Worked out really well for me.
Are we going to see you? Are we going to see you on a devotional on Facebook in the next few days with a toaster in your hand?
100%.
Ready-made talk there, mate. Brilliant.
Yep,
Wow.
got it done.
I mean, you smashed it, mate. Fantastic. So, mate, thank you so much for coming on and chatting to us. We just want to ask you, just kind of like one thing, just kind of as we wrap up, like, is there anything any advice that you'd want to like give to us and to all the young people that are listening to this in this time of lockdown? Maybe just in terms of our relationship with Jesus and how we stay close to him in this time. Just love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, for me, one of the biggest things that's helped me in this time is my perspective on this time. So you can view this time in one of two different ways. You can view this as like an inconvenience and a waste of time, and you're basically just setting a countdown to the moment when the lockdown's lifted and you can go back to life as you knew it before. Or you can see this time as the biggest opportunity you'll ever have to invest in yourself and invest in your family and invest in the relationships around about you, and most importantly, invest in your relationship with Jesus. And so, like, I think my first encouragement would be, like, find the right perspective in amongst it. If you have found yourself just like counting down the days and looking at your watch and being like, I'm bored, I want this thing to be over, I can totally understand that. I can totally empathize with it. But at the same time, I bring you a challenge to be like, flip your perspective and see this as like time that you'll never get again, to invest in a whole bunch of different places, invest in growing a solid relationship with God, invest in the family around about you, invest in yourself as well. You know, if you've got a plan and a thing that you want to do when you're older, you've got a career in mind, now's an amazing time to invest in a bunch of online watching videos, going on some training things, whatever it is that you might be able to do, and it'll spend your time in a really great way that when you come out the other end of it, you'll be like, I've built and fortified a whole bunch of stuff in my life that's going to stand me in really great stead for this next season coming. So I think perspective, changing your perspective and flipping your perspective would be my biggest piece of advice, and seeing this as one of the most incredible opportunities you'll ever have to invest in yourself and in the lives around you.